Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at Nismo's R-Tune air duct. Now I originally found out about the air duct when I was researching Nismo's intake charge pipes for the turbos. And let me tell you, those are rare and very expensive. They can range anywhere from $2,700 to almost $4,000 if you want the carbon fiber pipes, which is crazy. Now, when I was researching it, I found out that when you have the Nismo charge pipes, you cannot use the OEM air duct. So when you buy the Nismo charge pipes, this is why people buy the R-Tune air duct. And this right here, this indentation is the reason why you could use it with the Nismo air intake charge pipes. And if you look at the OEM one, this is why you cannot use it. As a matter of fact, there's people online that have said that they've used the heat gun to melt this, but this is the appropriate part for the R34 with the Nismo charge pipes. Unfortunately for the R33, we're gonna see if after we modify this, it actually works. And then at that point in time, this would also be the appropriate part if you're using the Nismo charge pipes. Now this OEM air duct design, the one in front of you, is for the R33 GT-R and the R34. And my reference is pictures from Bring a Trailer because you will either see the OEM air duct or the Nismo R-Tuned air duct. So when I was looking at this air duct, and this one is an FRP composite versus the plastic one from the manufacturer, I read the following description for it. It says that its design is to reduce the turbo's compressor intake pressure by 30%, and that it was purposely designed to add a little bit more power and add a little bit more of a charge to the intake. Now, what I did is when I got this, I compared it to the original one, and off the top, you could see some differences with the size of the intake of the snorkel or the duct. But if you look at this is kind of has a weird design, like it was squished or indented. Well, that is because I learned here in driver's therapy, we're going to save you guys some money. I learned that this actual air duct is for the R34. Now I did read that because it said application R34, but the RB26 for the R33 and the R34 are pretty much the same as far as like the design and the parts around it. Now there's some internal differences and some minute differences, but I assumed that the air ducts were going to be interchangeable. And that I read from somebody who asked a question, because I did research if you could put them in there, that the only difference that you'd have to do is the pilot holes where you put the fasteners on would be different. But the crazy part is, when I installed this and I put the hood down, believe it or not, the R33 GT-R hood dented this in. I know it kind of hurts, but the cool thing about it is that we know that it doesn't work on the R33 GT-R, and I could share that with you guys. But also we're gonna go ahead, and since we already kind of dented it or damaged it, we're gonna cut out the section where it's making contact with the R33 GT-R hood, and we're gonna see if we could actually make it work, because everything else lines up pretty good versus the fastener holes and where it was dented. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to give you a few pans of the differences between the inlet to the airbox and where, well, we're going to give you the best visualization so you could see inside here and see the difference between these two. Now, when I was on Bring a Trailer, I did see a lot of GT-R, R34 GT-Rs with the R-Tune. As a matter of fact, the Z-Tune, which is one of the famous R34s in the world, has this, and this is a very popular part. So this is actually pretty cool, and I do believe it's a better design than the OEM one. But for the R33, it definitely will not work. And another thing that I'm taking into consideration that it might not work in general is that the hoods of the R33 and R34 are different in the way that they're shaped. Of course, we found that out when we dented that in, but also the bubble of where the air pressure builds in there. So essentially the hoods of cars are designed to kind of create, you know, this very physics engineering type of thing that allows air and air boxes to work in there. Otherwise, if you look to the left on this, which we'll show you here, there's actually like a weather stripping to prevent air to go in there versus the right side. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how the R34, how the R-Tune actually fits in the R33, and then we're going to show you where it got squished, and then after that we're going to play with this later on and make a video about it and go from there. So this is kind of the best visualization that we could give you of how the R-Tune air duct looks, minus the indentation on the left that we did. And then now let's show you the one for the OEM. The OEM one kind of looks a little bit bigger, but there's a lot more of these kind of air diverters, except with the actual size of the opening. As you could see, if we compare opening to opening, I would say this one's a tiny bit bigger. Okay, so when you put the R-Tune air duct in, it's not as a perfect fit right away, but it actually connects to the air box nicely. And then the mounting holes, as you could tell, are different because they don't line up right here. And then of course, the problem with this is that this sticks up a little bit more, but since it's not aligned perfectly, when you put the hood down, this area right here squishes the intake and it makes it no good. So we did learn something, and in the world of cars and engineering and testing and tuning, stuff like this is gonna happen. This part did not work with the R33. We did attempt it. It looks like if we do wanna modify it, you know, we could try that. At the end of the day, it might just be easier to put the original one back on and move on. But this was a good test, and if we do get the Nismo charge pipes, we might end up needing this and then modifying it to all work. Well guys, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. You stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon.